Welcome, brothers. So in part one, we concluded that if men and women were left alone to set the terms of their own relationships, with each party engaging on equal terms as they would in same-sex friendships, i.e. absent of the pressure to do the man thing and the woman thing that society tells us to do, then we'd probably have a lot more healthy relationships. However, society continues to influence what goes on in romantic relationships by defining them mostly in terms of obligations and expectations which are assigned by a gender. So the man is giver and the woman is receiver. The man is head of the house and the woman is head of the kitchen. My argument is that this narrow-minded and feeble construction of relationships is fatal to a truly deep and meaningful connection between a man and woman. You see, relationships are not a hierarchy. They should be about equal standing and equal partnership between two people in the journey of life. Not leadership for one party and submission or dependency for the other. Weak men who need to control and dominate, and weak women who need to be provided for, are only building conflict into their relationships from day one. Why? Because each believes that they are the most important party in their relationship, and that their needs or wishes should take precedence. The man believes that whatever he provides should give him absolute authority. Meanwhile, the woman believes that her consent to become his dependent make it all about her. The problem comes when there's a clash over some important decision. He thinks he's the leader, therefore she should just submit. She thinks it's all about her, so he should do what she wants. Pathetic. In a romantic relationship based on the same-sex friendship model, both parties meet as equals and decisions are made jointly after negotiation rather than unilaterally by instruction. Now, if I'm wrong about society influencing your attitudes on how to conduct a relationship, then where did you get your ideas about relationships from, if not your environment? You pick them up as a child picks up language. Now, I don't object to people using their intimate lives as laboratories to experiment with ideas that don't work. If you want to fuck up your life, that's your business. But don't play yourself and don't kid yourself. You ain't no leader, and that bitch ain't gonna submit just because you think she should. How do I know that? Because if she did, you wouldn't be crying about how she won't submit. And she wouldn't be crying about needing to be independent from a controlling loser who can't provide shit, after all is said and done. Now let's move on to the relationship experts who constantly badger us to make better choices, which is as worthless a piece of advice as it gets, because it ignores the fact that choice can only be exercised where there is more than one option, with at least one option being better than the rest. Dating choice for many people, men especially, amounts to picking a bad apple from a basket of bad apples. That's the kind of choice available to just about every man who lives in an English-speaking country. Or choice from a basket of rotten apples. In addition to that, men have little protection from the consequences of making bad choices. But we'll discuss that in the next video. Now personally, I find it laughable that people tell women who've made themselves very undesirable to make better choices. What use is it to tell a used-up baby mother to make better choices when by her own hand she's narrowed her choices and herself become a bad choice? Who is going to choose baby mother other than those who themselves lack the character to make good choices? Very few quality men want to waste their lives with someone who comes with baggage that's with them for life. If you fucked up your life, then you have no right to expect someone who hasn't fucked up theirs to walk into your life and rescue you. The best advice would be to tell people not to limit their choices in the first place and to spend their lives creating more choices for themselves by not taking on lifelong commitments that burden you with huge responsibilities at too young an age, and by focusing on self-development at all stages of life. This is the cold hard truth that the relationship experts never tell you. Another thing that I've never heard anyone say is this: you do not have the right to a relationship. Relationships are not a right. You do not have the right to have children. You do not have the right to demand love, no matter how accomplished, wealthy, attractive, good, or nice you think you are. nobody owes you a relationship. Nobody has to choose you if they don't want to. So bitching about who someone chooses only reveals an unwarranted sense of entitlement. One of the biggest mistakes I see men and women making is trying to match themselves against a set of superficial criteria conceived in the minds of marketing interns or gossip columnists, and then thinking that they're entitled to demand the perfect lover. Well, you are no more entitled to demand even the most undesirable person for a partner than you're entitled to demand friends. If people don't want your friendship, they have a right to reject it. If people don't want your relationship, they have a right to reject that. That's how it goes. Nobody owes you a relationship. No matter what it is about you that makes you think you are the prize catch that everyone should be chasing as if you were gold. Anyway, with that said, we're not talking about people who should think particularly highly of themselves in most cases, because the only quality that's apparent in people who adopt labels is how easily influenced they are by labels. The last thing a healthy person is looking for in a partner is a label. The only thing labels are good for is telling you who to avoid. Now finally, at least for this bit, if society, and by society I mean the relationship experts, and by that I mean you, just minded your own business and worked on your self-ship, we'd drastically cut down the number of dysfunctional people in dysfunctional relationships. More in part 3. Leo.